Is there a moment or like a fan that comes to mind that this person just hated you and then by the end was like fully embracing you in the merch? Everybody loves Effie.
I can point to entire cities in the state of Georgia where, like, I've jokingly said it, but I've been like, if I was as over here, now as I was in 2016, then Trump may not have, lost or won the election at all. I went into towns like, I think of Pavo, Georgia. Pavo, Georgia hated me. We wrestled in an elementary school. I wrestled there all the time when I was starting out in my career. But as they watched me work, as they watched my personality, these very far right Republican South Georgia people were all of a sudden cheering their hearts out for a gay boy. They were buying t-shirts from the gay boy. He's wearing pantyhose. And it's this bizarre thing where wrestling fans, they have very strong opinions on everything, but when it comes to the curtain, they're kind of going to give it an objective look, no matter how ridiculous or crazy it is.
Mhm.
And so by going in and going, I know you have preconceived notions about my wrestling, number one, but about who I am as a person, number two, if I can win them over with the wrestling and entertainment, it kind of starts to soften their mind to everything else a little bit. And I'm not being effy just to go out and be like, look, gay people are okay to be around. You don't have to be hateful. But if
Yeah.
that's like a secondary thing that comes with it, just because I'm being myself and performing, that's awesome. I love seeing people turn around on it. And I mean, there are people who have yelled slurs at me and then spent money at the store a month later. It's a bizarre
Crazy. How
thing,
does
but
that make you feel? Like, are you always happy that that's happened, or is there still part of you that's like, well, you were really mean at the beginning? Like,
yeah. I think I had to recognize like my privilege early. I'm a 6 foot tall white dude who, if I really want to play it up, I can probably pass this straight. Not necessarily with my rat tail right now, but if I wanted to do it, I could. And so having strength, having ability, having the body I have, having the voice I have, being able to speak and being educated, I wanted to be at the front of kind of getting in front of people who are hateful. I think there are a lot of people in our community they don't need that violence. They don't need that extra fight, and they shouldn't have to yell
mhm.
or explain themselves all the time. But if I'm going to be up and angry anyway, then I want to fight it back. I want to be on the front of it. And if I can change your mind with taking things a little less seriously, easing you in versus coming right with a knife right away, I don't mind demeaning myself almost a little bit to make sure the bigger picture is seen. And
Right.
it's simple stuff like talking to someone. I had someone during a show and they used a slur against me, and I finished the match, and then I got in their face in front of everyone and I said, I hope you have a gun in the car, because if I find you outside the building, I'll tear you up. This is very aggressive in front of everyone. But then I pulled him to the side and we talked, and he cried and he had a conversation with me that was very long. And it's not necessary for me as a performer to have to come educate you and
Yeah.
pull you aside and be your mom.
Yeah.
But if I can do that and it stops someone else from having to deal with that in the future, or if they leave with a better understanding, I think that that's worth my effort and worth my time. And yeah, the reactive, I'm going to kick your ass in the parking lot. It's a good little threat to let them know it's serious, but actually kicking someone's ass in the parking lot, they're just going to hate gay people more. They might
Yeah.
come back with a weapon next time.
Yeah.
I have the ability to get in front of it. I think I could survive being stabbed 2 or 3 times. I don't know if everyone could. I'm willing to take the risk, and I'm willing to see if through gentle conversation we can get somewhere, or through very powerful conversation we can get somewhere. But I don't want to leave something hanging and just go, that's just how they are. That's who they are.
Right.
Because I think everybody with a little education can come around to at least being polite enough to interact with everyone.
How much has wrestling changed from the time when you started to where it's at now in terms of acceptance and all that?
We're in a really wild spot for me personally, because I'm running these LGBTQ shows, and there are more and more talent who are feeling comfortable, who are being themselves, who are expressing who they are, their gender identities, their sexual identities. And so for me, it's like I'm trying to keep up to make sure I give the spots to all these people that are deserving. And to even have that problem is so wild and bizarre, because when I came in, like, I was 23, I was newly coming out. I started wrestling, like you heard on the last one with Lita, by taking too many drugs and going, I don't know what's real anymore.
Yeah.
Let me go find out. And entering in that space early on, it was like, oh, I'm just playing a character. I didn't want to step on people's toes. But then when people start figuring it out and you start realizing that, like, I'm not dealing with hatred backstage. And if I am, they're not doing it to my face. What I'm dealing with is a lot of people leaning in and going, I haven't had anyone to talk to about this before. I've never met a person like this before,
Yeah.
which sounds bizarre to be like, I've never hung out with gay people. But a lot of people in these small towns, especially in the United States South, especially being in the Bible Belt, I almost became like sort of a helpful computer table of ask your gay questions that you have.
Yeah.
And I think being forward, being out, being public, I don't want to say I was a huge part of the change, but I mean, I was there for the change. I was making it happen. I was cutting with the machete in the front of the jungle and
Mhm.
eating all the fruits and dealing with all the snakes. But it's a much easier environment to get into now. And I think a lot of the people that we started with that were considered bullied or bullies, or they were treating people negatively, or they were putting people through physical abuse to be a wrestler. What we're finding now is, hey, if the whole show is good, then more people will come and more people will stay. If everybody's match sucks and you don't help them make their match better, then the whole show is going to suck and no one's staying around for you anyway.
Yeah.
So there seems to almost be, beyond anything LGBTQ, a mentality shift of, hey, we're all wrestlers. We all paid too much for these stupid costumes we're wearing. We all paid too much to license a song. We all paid too much to train. Maybe at this point, when we are trying to gather people to come to our show, we should help each other out, because if you're on a Broadway play and the opening number is shit and you're in the backstage going, God, dude, he can't sing a lick, the rest of the show is going to be shit because you've started the show bad. Don't let bad get by, but do it through a way that is uplifting and a way that is positive, because the people that you're dog shitting on now that you think are bad at wrestling, or you don't want to be around, or they don't deserve to be in your locker room, it's a mountain, baby. And we're going to go up the mountain and down the mountain. And if you are not the mountain, you're just going to be seeing me on both sides of it.
Yeah.
So being that central, hey, we are here to put on a good product. We are motivated to do it. I want to have a better match than you just because I want us to push each other, not because I want you to fail.